Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Happy Friday to you all. It is Friday, so we're all grateful and thankful for that. That's for sure. If not, certainly hope your day gets better. But I got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for today, and really give you a pretty big update on the tropics this morning. In fact, we're going to switch the flow of the video a little bit up. We're actually going to talk about the tropics first and then give you an update on what can happen in the lower 48 weather-wise for today. It got very active last night. We had a confirmed tornado that did a lot of damage. We'll actually see how much damage it does when the sun comes up in this area of Michigan that got impacted by this tornado. The severe weather threat increased throughout the day yesterday, and it's certainly verified. And I hope you guys are faring well up there. I haven't heard of any deaths or anything like that. We don't know if there's been catastrophic damage done. You guys, if you're tuning in from Michigan, definitely let me know, or Ohio. Just let me know what you're hearing up there. Of course, when the sun goes up, I'm sure we'll see a lot more footage and pictures of what really happened last night. There really wasn't any great footage of the tornado because it was dark, but there was a lot of power outages, a lot of power flashes, and there was definitely a confirmed tornado on the ground. Hope you guys are faring well up there. But we're going to give you an update on the tropics, talk about what could happen in the eastern Gulf of Mexico as models are really honing in. Even the GFS now, which we have talked about, has really just been stubborn on really latching on to the idea of something getting going, is now latching on to that idea. So we need to talk about that. This really looks like it's going to cruise into Florida, but we do have to watch for any kind of west trends over the next couple of days, because if it hangs out over the Gulf of Mexico too long, of course, we could have a stronger system. And then we're going to give you an update on Franklin, talk about that too. And, it's going to get close to Bermuda, but as of now, not expected to really impact Bermuda greatly at all. But we need to watch Nova Scotia, Newfoundland for sure. So we'll give you an update on that. So we got a lot to discuss in this video. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to pray over it too. Let's get rolling this morning. Like I said, we're starting this off a little different for the people who regularly tune in. They know I normally show the water vapor loop first, but we're going to show you an update on the tropics. So skip ahead if you're not interested and you just want to know about what's going to happen today weather-wise, and I'll have timestamps up about 5 to 10 minutes after I drop the video. So an update on the tropics. There will be another update here in about an hour, which is what is considered the 8 a.m. update. So this is technically the update. I know it says 2 a.m. down here, but this is really the update from about 5. There is a 70% chance that this area of interest, which will likely be dubbed an invest maybe sometime today, this area of interest could develop into a depression or tropical storm in this red area within the next 7 days. But I would say if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen here in the next maybe 4 days or so. Okay, so the only thing that I think is going to change on the next update is this 70% chance might get bumped up to an 80% chance. But everything I'm about to talk to you about isn't going to really change for the most part. And so you got these two areas of interest out here, but we're not going to talk about these because they're only going to affect the ocean and the fishes out there in the ocean. Okay, so not going to speak on this. And then we got Franklin, which is a 60-mile-per-hour storm right now. But this, of course, could strengthen on the next update or weaken. Franklin's dealing with a lot of westerly flow, which is providing westerly shear on the on the west side of Franklin. So most of the worst impacts of Franklin right now is on the eastern side of Franklin because of that. We'll talk about that here in a second, actually. But moving forward here, we take a look at what's going on out there in the Western Atlantic, which includes the Gulf of Mexico, the Western Caribbean, and all of the Caribbean, and then areas of the Southwest Atlantic. This is Franklin right here, which is the big blob you see on your screen that your eyes probably immediately go to, popping off some intense convection on the east side of the center of circulation. And you ask, well, why isn't this getting its act together any better since it's over water? Well, this is probably right around where the center of circulation is. You might can pivot that L back, pivot maybe to the west or east a little bit, but in general, this is right around where the center of circulation is. It is dealing with some westerly flow right in here. If you look at these clouds and this shower and storm activity, it's moving basically west to east. Okay, that tells us that there is some flow moving through here, right here. So this is getting blasted by some pretty stout western shear. So it's affecting the western side of the storm. So it's basically shunning and basically pushing all the convection to the east side of the center of low pressure, which is Franklin in this case. So basically what I'm trying to say is, and I'll sum that all up by saying all the worst weather is on the eastern side of Franklin right now. When this lightens up, and it will today, it will begin to get its act together at a pretty decent clip. And we're going to call it rapid intensification? Probably not. But that's kind of what's going on with Franklin right now. We got this spin ongoing right out here in the Gulf of Mexico, deep in the Gulf of Mexico. This is what's left over of our upper trough, which is kind of being pinched off right now. But this is still helping. You see that arrow? This is still helping to really pump some moisture off Central America into the Western Caribbean right now. And this moisture will eventually, which is basically a huge, massive, broad level spin right now, will eventually find a dominant vortice, most likely become some kind of disorganized, eventually an organized storm system, and we will eventually be talking about most likely some kind of tropical cyclone in the Western Caribbean eventually. In this area potentially, but I think that it won't get dubbed that until it gets probably into the Gulf of Mexico, and then we really need to watch this area right here for some gradual strengthening of whatever gets going in this region right here. So that's what's going on in a nutshell. We keep on going here. If you hear my kids in the background, guys, I know most of y'all say we never hear them, even though you say that they're loud. But I can hear them sometimes. I'll hear them in my right ear in the living room, and it disrupts my flow a little bit. But chances are you might not even hear them, but I can. So if you hear them, well, I got kids, and, you know, a lot of people have kids. I think you guys understand that. But here we go. We look at the 200 millibar flow out there, okay? You see this right here. This is basically our upper trough that's somewhat being pinched off, okay? And if you compare this with that, you can actually see that you see the spin right in here, okay? You can see that spin right here. So it matches up well with the satellite and what's actually going on. And then you see these streamlines and these arrows pointing this way out the west, okay? Moving east. That's that westerly flow, basically blasting Franklin right now. So it all makes sense, okay? You can see it right here, and it's coming in like this, all right? So this is what's helping to also aid and push moisture out of the tropical region, which is down here, and it's pushing all this moisture this way, okay? So we're starting to somewhat, at least we will eventually get there. We'll have some kind of organizing tropical system eventually into this area. So you see the flow going like this. This is pulling this moisture. And another great way to see this is looking at the precipitation values in this region. It's already happened somewhat, okay? You see in the pinks and purples, that's precipitation values pushing over 2.25, 2.5 inches, which if you don't know what that means, just thinking basically in these reds and these purples, that is very deep tropical moisture in this region. So if you back it up here, watch how this will gradually kind of dominate this region right into here. This is creeping northward, okay? It'll kind of just fiddle around this region for a while, okay? But eventually, okay, this is going to begin to push further into the Gulf of Mexico. You can do it, and then here it goes, okay? This is Franklin becoming a beast of a hurricane just west of Bermuda, okay? But don't focus on this, and this is our deep tropical moisture that's beginning to get its act together as it gets pulled northward. It already really has, and now it's just a waiting game in the Western Caribbean if something can somewhat get organized. But I really don't think whatever this is that gets organized will not get organized until it gets kind of between the Yucatan Peninsula, maybe Cuba, and just barely into the Gulf of Mexico, probably into this region right in here. But this big old plume of tropical moisture gets pulled northeast, and then eventually it rides up against a cold front, which we've talked about also in some videos. And it's going to be interesting what happens here. Okay, because this tropical system will try to slide in, affect the lower 48 right before a cold front sweeps in and kicks it out. So it's a clashing of air masses. We saw that big time with Ian in late September last year. So we keep going. Let's compare some model guidance. Let's take a look at the European model. This is starting Tuesday afternoon. You see the L popping up on your screen. This would probably indicate probably some kind of weak to moderate tropical storm right here. And we keep this in motion getting into Tuesday evening, getting into overnight Tuesday, getting into Wednesday morning, and we have very slowly strengthening tropical system, a sub 1,000 millibar low pressure. That would indicate probably a moderate to strong tropical storm. And then eventually it strengthens as it's approaching landfall. And then we get to about Wednesday p.m. sometime, and you got a landfalling tropical system that's about a 993 millibar low pressure, give or take a couple numbers there. All right, so that would indicate either a very strong tropical storm or a very low-end Category 1 hurricane making landfall in the southern Big Bend areas of Florida, well north, a couple hours north of Tampa Bay. That's what the European says. And then look what it does. Some of the model guidance, and this is why I want you guys to pay attention in southeast Georgia, the Carolinas, some of the model guidance is beginning to tick westward somewhat. What this does is provides an opportunity for this to chill in the Gulf a little bit longer, which stronger system, and then it basically opens up the opportunity for more real estate to be impacted, like more Florida, more of the Southeast in general. What we really need this to do is just to be a weak storm and really just plow into Louisiana and Texas. I know you folks maybe out there are saying, well, why do you want that? Well, I think why I'm saying that. You guys need the rain. It would be nice to get maybe just a tropical depression, weak tropical storm to move into this area to keep y'all out y'all's drought. But as of now, I don't think it's going to work that west, but y'all still need to pay attention. But what's interesting is the Euro keeps it going, and it really grinds up against this Georgia, South Carolina coastline, and it doesn't stay over land long, so it gets back over water off the coast of the Carolinas and Georgia, and it tries to re-strengthen. So at this point, I would argue it's definitely a hurricane based off the latest Euro next Thursday morning, 6 days from now, just off the coast of the Carolinas. So the Carolinas need to watch this. Georgia needs to watch this. Florida needs to watch this. Everybody in this area, basically everybody, I would say, heck, and this entire region right here needs to watch this. And that's what I would say. Okay, all the land in that area. I mean, this could move a little bit further west, make a landfall in Mississippi, Alabama. You never know. That's why we got a lot to figure out. That's why I jump on here and give you multiple updates. One thing we do know is the GFS is on to something now, and now it wants to kind of come to the party now too, and says, hey, I'm going to develop a tropical cyclone now, and we got at this point Tuesday p.m. a 1,002 millibar low pressure, maybe tropical storm at this point. And this makes landfall a little south of the Euro, not much. I mean, they're pretty much right on. Makes landfall as a tropical storm. Remember, the next name is Idalia. Idalia, okay? That's the next name, and it's a dreaded I name. We all know about these I names. And this cruises over North Florida. And same thing, you got to watch the Georgia Carolina coastline. You got a tropical storm right off the coastline. Okay, a lot of times Georgia, the Carolinas, even all the way up to Virginia and up the eastern seaboard, sometimes these storms that make landfall, like in Florida and the Gulf Coast, make their way all the way up into here and cause some big impacts. Okay, well, I think most of us know that just based off what's happened over the last few years. Canadian model, we'll start to kind of breeze through this kind of quick now. Canadian model makes a landfall a good bit further west. It's much further west, 991 millibar low pressure. This would be a weak hurricane or strong tropical storm, makes landfall basically the panhandle of Florida, and this would bring tropical storm conditions maybe all the way into southern sections of Georgia, and this would definitely affect more of the Carolinas. Okay, that's why the Carolinas need to watch. And then you got the icon, only goes out 120 hours, but has a landfalling sub 1,000 millibar low pressure tropical system. I would argue this is probably, like I said, a weak hurricane or strong tropical storm, basically right around what the GFS and the European saying, which is the Big Bend areas of Florida. Okay, so we got to watch this in this entire region. We really do, guys. So this is Franklin. We'll give you an update on Franklin really fast. And like I said, it's the center of circulation is probably somewhere into here. And the reason why there is absolutely no convection, shower, and storm activity on the west side of the storm, which is right here, is because it's getting hit by that westerly shear. Okay, and we just talked about that. So it's definitely kind of half a tropical storm right now, but it's going to get its act together here in the next 24 to 48 hours. And when we look at the latest forecast, cone of uncertainty, for Tropical Storm Franklin, 60-mile-per-hour storm, moving east-northeast at even slower than last night at 6 miles per hour. And it will make that abrupt turn north probably sometime tonight. And then eventually will develop into a hurricane in the second half of the weekend, most likely. And then it'll cruise probably just west of Bermuda. You guys are not even in the cone anymore. And then it's saying that it's going to be a hurricane by 2 a.m. Wednesday. And it's starting to get very close to Nova Scotia. You guys are getting close to the cone now. Okay, so we need to watch out. So we look at the latest information, and I'm not showing Bermuda just because I don't think that you guys are going to get really impacted by this, but I am, somewhat concerned about my folks up here in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. So we look at the European on Franklin. Here comes Franklin. This is coming up on Wednesday afternoon. Gets very close to Nova Scotia, but, you guys, looks like y'all narrowly escape. But the Euro does plow a sub 980 millibar low pressure hurricane. This is probably at this point maybe losing its tropical characteristics, but still a very intense storm sometime next Wednesday night. Okay, into Thursday morning, plows it right into Newfoundland. Okay, I don't have any details on any of this, even what's likely going to be Idalia. I don't have any details on this right now as far as impacts, as far as how much rain, wind, things like that. But these will begin to emerge over the next couple of days into the weekend. But this does plow right into Newfoundland. Look at the latest GFS. GFS has consistently been a little bit further southeast, but this does nip southeast Newfoundland sometime. This would be sometime kind of the same time frame, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And this would bring some hefty impacts to those areas, just a little bit further southeast on Newfoundland. So that's an update on the tropics. I hope that helps you guys. I'm going to try to pump out as much content as I can this weekend to keep you guys updated. It's just very busy times for me and my family right now. We're good. It's just busy. It's just busy, just like a whole lot of people out there. We look at what's going on today weather-wise. We still got the ridge affecting the area, but it is flattening out somewhat. So we got this flow somewhat like this, and it's actually further south enough to where you're actually going to get some pop-up shower and storm activity. I mean, maybe even into this area today. Maybe even into Alabama. So we got a big complex of storms working its way through West Virginia right now. You guys are probably being woken up by some nasty storms. We got pieces of energy basically flying across the northern portion of this ridge. We got a lot of shower and storm activity probably ongoing most of the day in the northeast today. And the deep south to southeast is really going to get pretty hot today, a little bit hotter than what y'all have seen. And, just will consistently, I think you guys hit 109 degrees in Houston yesterday. Just outrageous. We got to get rid of this. The good news is I see a cold front, guys. There's so many things to talk about. It's very difficult with these morning videos because they go on and on and on because I don't want to get away from my daily forecast. But at the same time, there's so many other things to talk about too. But we'll keep pumping out the content. Very rainy morning along the I-95 corridor up in the northeast. A lot of rain falling. There's some intense storms ongoing right now and moving into southern sections of West Virginia. Hope you guys are faring well. There's an area of heavy rain, some storm activity in northern Iowa. Showers up here in the Great Lakes region. And this ridge is definitely flattened out somewhat. You got better conditions a little bit further south, but it's still hotter than Hades down here in the south central U.S. and the southern plains. But could get some rain today. Okay, so we look at the Storm Prediction Center. As of now, there's no slight risk, but a lot of times on days like these, you get an upgrade to a slight risk on the next update. So, but right now, you just got a marginal risk that extends from extreme eastern areas of Colorado all the way to Washington, D.C. And this entire dark green area got level 1 out of 5 risk of severe storms. So we got a risk of some gusty winds and some hail today. Cannot rule out a tornado either. Okay. Excessive rainfall outlook. I think Colorado could get a lot of rain today, maybe a couple inches in certain areas. So we do have that slight risk. That's at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met. So we'll be careful with this. You guys could definitely pick up a lot of rain today. We look at watches and warnings and this purple color here. That's excessive heat warnings. You can tell it's been flattened out some. It doesn't rise all the way up into Wisconsin, Minnesota anymore. So that's the good news, but the bad news is it's still pretty hot. We're over some of the same areas that, it's been very hot. Heat advisories up in the orange. Some of this heat is beginning to creep into the Carolinas, starting to take over Georgia, where I think today and tomorrow will be very hot days. Even Sunday will be pretty hot, but I think today into tomorrow will be very hot. The only thing that might save us tomorrow is we could get some shower and storm activity pretty far southeast. We look at the southeast today. We get this in motion. Look at all this pop-up activity here in Louisiana, Mississippi. You guys might get some rain today. Now, not everybody will get it. I mean, this is the definition of pop-up in nature. This is kind of one of those days where it can rain at your neighbor's, your grandparents' house, 2 or 3 miles up the road, but your house is still sunny and 100 degrees. That's what this kind of setup today is. Very pop-up in nature. So if it does rain on top of your house, consider it a blessing. Let's hope that this is more widespread than what it's showing. We're going to watch some flow out the north that's going to sink down in Virginia into North Carolina a little bit later today. This will provide some shower and storm activity for southern areas of Virginia, northern North Carolina. We'll watch that a little bit later today too. Let's zoom into these regions, and here's this pop-up activity. Bang, look at this. Some rain activity in Louisiana. We need the rain here. It's around 6 p.m. It's going to be impossible to nail who gets it. Absolutely impossible. But somebody's going to get some rain in Louisiana today. And in central and southwest Mississippi, which is getting extremely dry. It's been brutally hot in these regions. And then Arkansas, you're going to see it too. Could get a pop-up downpour in Alabama. I'm pulling for you guys. I'm hoping this is a lot more widespread than even what this is showing. Let's hope and pray we can get some rain for you folks today. So the Carolinas, areas of Georgia, Virginia, we'll watch some intense storms that could flow down into Virginia. I think we could get a severe storm or two in central Virginia today sometime this afternoon. This will flow from north to south, potentially making it all the way to the Virginia-North Carolina border. If you're up here in this region, definitely expect a chance for some showers and storms, some that could pack a punch later this evening up in this region. And then we could get some more robust thunderstorm development in southern areas of West Virginia, maybe even Kentucky a little bit later this evening into the overnight hours. And these could make it all the way down into eastern sections of North Carolina into the overnight hours. So northeast, a very rainy morning out there. Even once this clears out, I think for the most part, you're going to probably get more shower and storm development that just refires up. I think Maine will be a state that's just on and off showers all day. Same thing with Vermont, New Hampshire. It might just stay a consistent on and off light to moderate rain in areas of southern New England. This is getting into this afternoon. Some of these storms in the Delmarva area that you're seeing down here could pack a punch, could be strong to severe, but not expecting any haymakers or anything like that, anything that's going to cause any massive damage like maybe the last couple of days has. But we are expecting just numerous showers and storms are possible in central New York State, even down to the southern tier, Pennsylvania, especially eastern PA. You guys could definitely see a stormy afternoon and evening. And this will continue throughout the overnight hours, even into like eastern sections of New England. So could wake up to another area of showers tomorrow morning in northern sections of New York State. So the south central U.S., today, look at the rain popping up here. We already talked about Louisiana, but look in northeast and even central areas of Texas, a little pop-up activity. Eastern sections of Oklahoma, areas of Arkansas, Missouri's been dry too. And some of these storms into this region could be strong to severe. Some of these pop-up storms could pack a punch, but we definitely need to watch up here. I think we could get some strong to severe storms in Colorado today, Nebraska, northern sections of Kansas for sure. As we get into this afternoon and this evening, definitely watch out for a lot of shower and storm activity in this region up here for sure. This could drop a lot of rain. This is definitely not going to be isolated or discrete. It's going to be everywhere. Definitely a pretty stout flow causing plenty of lift in the atmosphere for numerous showers and storms. Up here in the north central U.S., certainly going to watch a line of storms that could sweep through central and eastern UP areas of Michigan today. I want to watch out for that. These could provide some severe conditions in this region. We'll definitely be just be aware of a line of storms that could sweep and develop off the southern shores of Lake Superior in this region. Could get a strong line of storms that makes its way through. Could get some storm action in northern areas of Wisconsin. But most of this area is on the stable end of things now. And I think most of the shower and storm activity could be down here, what we just mentioned, in areas of the high plains and Great Plains. Could get an area of organized showers and storms in central Illinois that could eventually make its way into Indiana later tonight. So if you're in central Illinois into Indianapolis, definitely be aware of some storm activity later tonight. Certainly possible. And then we move out west, where I think we're going to get a lot of shower and storm development here in southeast Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, even Colorado, Utah, some pop-up activity. Nothing too crazy. Western Wyoming, some pop-up activity, Idaho, western Montana. My kids in there having a ball. Definitely a lot of shower and storm activity out there. Just nothing too crazy. I think if there's one area to watch out for flash flooding, it's Colorado. And if we look at Colorado, I mean, Denver could pick up over an inch of rain today. 1 to 2 inches of rain is possible along the Front Range, eastern Colorado, even in the southeast Wyoming. So temperatures today, Northeast continues to just not really have a summer. Maine will be downright chilly today in the 50s and 60s, 60s and 70s for everybody else in the Northeast, some 80s once you get into Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And then the heat dome is still there. It's just flattened out somewhat. So very hot ahead of any convection, shower, and storm development that gets going. And so, that's unfortunate, but let's hope that we can get some storms in this region down here to fire what we call outflow boundaries, which is rain-cooled air that really can cool you guys down by this afternoon and this evening so you can have a pleasant Friday evening. Still a tick below average out here out west, average to slightly below average, nothing too crazy at all. Some heat beginning to build into the desert southwest, but nothing too crazy up here, guys. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday, and I'll talk to you again soon.